On September 4th, 476, the Roman Empire quietly died, and almost nobody in Rome looked up from breakfast, because the real killer had been living in their pockets. Your history teacher blamed hairy barbarians with axes, and yes, they showed up eventually, but blaming them for Rome is like blaming the vultures for the corpse. The actual murder weapon was small change, a little silver coin called the denarius, and once you follow that coin, the whole thousand-year mystery solves itself embarrassingly fast. At its peak, Rome ruled some 70 million people across 3 continents, 1 in 5 humans alive, all glued together by taxes, wages, and one trusted silver coin. Under Augustus, the denarius was nearly pure silver, about a day's pay for a legionary, and everyone from Britain to Syria took it without weighing it twice. Rome kept over 300,000 professional soldiers on permanent payroll, and every single one expected real silver on payday, which made war the empire's biggest subscription cost. Then, in 64 AD, Nero had a genius idea: shave a little silver from every new coin, keep the difference, and honestly nobody even noticed the first time. Meanwhile, Rome's silver was leaking east in exchange for silk, pepper and perfume, luxury imports the empire loved but could never sell anything back for, a one-way drain. Worse, the great Spanish mines were running dry, so Rome faced growing bills with shrinking silver, and the shaving trick stopped being a scandal and became official policy. By Marcus Aurelius, the coin was down to 3/4 silver, while a plague killed millions of taxpayers, which is a spectacularly bad combination for any government spreadsheet. Merchants noticed before the senators did. They started weighing coins instead of counting them, which is the market's polite way of calling your currency a liar. Emperor Severus told his sons enrich the soldiers and scorn everyone else, then raised army pay massively and minted the raise out of increasingly imaginary silver. By 235, the wheels came off completely. Emperors were now hired and fired by their own bodyguards, and fired in the Roman army meant something very permanent. Rome burned through roughly 50 emperors in 50 years, most of them murdered, making the imperial throne statistically the most dangerous job in the ancient world. By the 260s, the denarius held under 5% silver, a copper slug wearing silver makeup that literally rubbed off on your fingers as you paid. Prices responded exactly as you'd expect. Grain cost hundreds of times more within a generation, and saving money became a slow-motion way of setting it on fire. The empire itself started peeling apart. Gaul and Palmyra simply declared themselves separate empires, and for a while there were 3 Romes, none of which could pay properly. Out on the frontier, soldiers stopped accepting their own empire's coins and demanded payment in food, land, or favors. When your army won't take your money, worry. Diocletian tried curing inflation by making high prices illegal, punishable by death, and the markets responded by simply vanishing because you cannot execute arithmetic into cooperating. He also split the empire in half just to manage the chaos, doubling the emperors, the courts, and the bureaucrats, all funded by taxpayers who had nothing left. Constantine then minted a brand new coin, the gold solidus, actually pure and actually stable, but gold was for the state and the rich. Commoners kept the junk. Rome, meanwhile, discovered it could no longer afford Roman soldiers, so it started hiring entire barbarian war bands on contract, cheaper up front with the invoice arriving later. In 376, the Goths fleeing the Huns were waved across the Danube as refugees and recruits. Then Roman officials starved and scammed them within months. 2 years later at Adrianople, those unpaid, furious Goths annihilated a Roman army and killed the emperor himself, the bill for bad faith arriving with interest. In 410, Alaric, a Roman-trained general, sacked Rome itself after being stiffed on his soldiers' wages, the city's first sacking in 800 years. Here's the twist nobody advertises. Most so-called barbarian invaders were Rome's own unpaid employees repossessing their salaries. The empire wasn't conquered so much as sent to collections. And 476, the famous fall, was just Odoacer, a Roman officer retiring a 12-year-old emperor with a country house and a pension. No battle, no flames. Need proof it was the money? The eastern half kept its gold solidus honest for 7 centuries, and that half of Rome survived another 1,000 years. Line up every collapse you were taught. Mutinous armies vanished, taxes, barbarian contractors, broken trade, and every single line traces back to what the coin could no longer buy. So Rome never fell to swords. It was clipped one shaving at a time, and nobody looked up from breakfast because the end had been arriving in their change for centuries.